Hang on a second. I said it many times on television and on radio. You can go back and look. The Clinton camp started with the birther thing before conservatives even ever heard about it, because there were rumors and so on and so forth. My hypothesis, as I said many times in discussing this article, was that because this agent had put it out and only taken it down in 2007 when Barack Obama started running for president, they continued this error for 16 years. Again, it says nothing about the authenticity. I said Barack Obama is born in Hawaii, showed his birth certificate. There shouldn't have ever been a question about it. I said that not just then, I said it in 2009, writing in the American Thinker. You can go back. I said this is wrong for conservatives to believe. I said it myself before I came to Breitbart. This article disputed the birther thesis, but told a story about a specific document. Okay? You admitted that I'm not a birther. You want to tar me. You want to tar my organization. I want to hear you.
To look for the post, and I'm getting a 404.
I want to hear you. I want to hear you say, "Sorry, you are not a birther. Now let's have a debate about real issues."
See the headline you do?
We didn't take the post.
All right, something really going on.
Okay, has he proven his case that he's not a birther?
I said straight up when he said, do I think he's a birther personally? No. Do I think he furthered birther conspiracy?
So why are you smearing me? You're talking about smearing individuals. I heard what you said
All right.
there. Why are you smearing me as a birther? You admit I'm not one.
I think furthering birther conspiracies is just as bad.
So are you saying I'm a birther?
Joe, we already went back and forth. I don't think you're a birther, but I think you furthered.
Then you, sir, I'm sorry, I commend your courage. It takes a lot of courage to come in here and debate, but that's not what you're doing. You, sir, are a liar.
Okay.
One more quick one from the audience. Dana, I heard you yell say that some of your things that have been taken out of your radio show have been taken out of context. What is your charge there?
Well, Media Matters, during the time that I was on CNN, you guys have an entire contingency developed to monitor every single one of my radio shows. And there's a number of times when you guys would cut and edit, you would chop up things to make it seem as though I would say one thing entirely when it wasn't even at all accurate. Then there was the incident when I was on Twitter. And this was the State of the Union address 2 years ago. And I made one joke on Twitter saying, well, let's see, now we have the IRS involved in healthcare. Now we have the Department of Defense involved in energy. Now it seems, here we have NASA's about Muslim outreach. Let's create a Department of Muslim outreach and make that about space. You guys accuse me of wanting to shoot Muslims into space. And you guys raised absolute hell about this.
Is that a fair criticism?
Honestly, the Joel thing happened in the last week, so I have a fresher memory of that post. I don't have as fresh a memory of these posts, Dana, but I'm actually more than happy to look at them. I really am. And if I feel they're inaccurate, look, we issue
words out.
If I feel it was inaccurate and we edited words out, I'm more than happy to issue corrections. You can always feel free.
But
there
were a number of times
when people monitoring your show, we monitor lots of radios.
Oh, I know, but you guys
What
have
is
such
that all
profanity.
about, by the way?
That's a fair question.
It's full of people who listen to every word that someone on talk radio
Big
utters.
open office.
Oh, okay, big open office. Sorry. I mean, how many people work for Media Matters? I'm just curious.
Right now, between 80 and 90.
Holy freaking Moses. Good God. 90 people.
How many people are Breitbart?
Listening to people talk on the radio and finding,
Well, you asked what our purpose was, and it's dedicated to comprehensively monitoring, analyzing, and correcting conservative misinformation.
So what did you do? Okay, so that's great. Correcting misinformation. So
Monitoring,
what?
analyzing, and correcting.
So where's the analysis in Fox News' published, the organization that really stands up for women's rights? So you monitor. So you monitor it and then put it up.
Yes.
Like sonograms from Cleveland.
Media Matters did not invent this form. This is a creation of the right. Back to the 80s, the Media Research Center. There's not just Media Research Center, but there's several of these organizations. So to attack Media Matters, because it has a bunch of people listening to right-wingers and then calling them on...
Is the problem, though, is with both sides doing it?
And, yeah, the problem is, and this is why...
Did you agree, though, that Media Matters takes it to another level when they try to shut down companies, like shut down Rush Limbaugh, get him off the air?
They're not trying to shut down companies.
You didn't try to take Rush Limbaugh off the air?
They're opposing of conservative...
Let me give you my opinion. My opinion is this is the point. What would Andrew do? This is the point where Andrew would go to part 2. Just to liven things up and move the subject along. That's what I think.
Let me finish my point. Right-wing organizations go after the livelihood of media institutions just like left-wing organizations do. Let me commend James, because what he's doing, even if it's technically flawed in Columbia Journalism Review, high journalism forums from time to time, he's trying to tell people about things they don't know. He's not like going out and finding, you know, somebody said something, so we're gonna attack them. You know, it's part of a bigger, broader thing, that an actual act of journalism that tells people something about this organization or that organization or whatever. Taking the worst possible interpretation of what a guy at Breitbart said, or taking the worst possible interpretation of what Dana said, doesn't advance the dialogue at all. And it's the same thing that the Media Research Center and other folks on the right do. It's a waste of time.
Dishonest.
Dishonest, right? Dishonest.
All right, we're running out of time. I want to go through all the way through. Everybody asks the same question, just a kind of a quick answer. Besides being just a good-looking husky model, what do you think the legacy of Andrew Breitbart is? What would he be remembered for in 30 years? And will he be remembered in 30 years? We'll start with Larry O'Connor.
Honestly, I get asked this question all the time, and I truly do feel that I'm a little too close to it to really give a realistic opinion. I think that, and it depends on what I'm in each day, because let me just say this. After Andrew passed away, so many people said, who's going to replace Andrew? Who's going to replace Andrew? No one will ever replace Andrew Breitbart. No one person will ever be able to do the 10,000 things that he did, sometimes all at the same time. It takes a team to do it. That's what we've tried to assemble with Breitbart News, and all of us together can't do what Andrew would do in just one day as one human being. So, I think that his legacy will be that he opened the door and opened up opportunities for so many people who thought they didn't have a voice and didn't have the chance to be heard. He was a pioneer utilizing technology and utilizing his God-given genius to be able to open up avenues for so many other people to follow him. His favorite thing, he used to say his favorite job was as a talent scout. And he would find the right people and put them in the right positions, even if it wasn't with his own company. And you know, I just did a panel earlier today called an all-star panel, and I'm not an all-star. I'm not even, you know, in the major leagues. Andrew Breitbart is a Hall of Famer. And the only reason anyone cares what I have to say is because Andrew 4 years ago cared what I had to say. And there are so many people that I've seen in this conference who have a voice now because Andrew told them that they mattered. And personally, to me, that's his legacy.
All right.
Legacy of Andrew Breitbart. Do you think there will be one? What will it be?
Of course there'll be one. I mean, I think he certainly left a mark. And look, I recognize, as a like the type of hating Breitbart, in a personal sense, I never hated Andrew. As I said, all my interactions with him were professional, and I know from people he's a humorous guy, and he was very loyal. From what I've loyal to friends and to family, and I think he had those admirable qualities. Look, I stated at the front my opinion on what his legacy will be. There's no need to rehash that. I would hope that, look, I'm willing and open to coming to any right-wing summit to talk. I think there needs to be more conversation, even if we're screaming at each other. Andrew would have liked that. And I would hope more left-wing organizations invite right-wingers onto left-wing.
You know what else Andrew would have liked? You want to go get a drink afterwards?
I can't tonight, but we should make a date. I have to go with my wife, but we should go.
Is there an
The truth is, we need more voices, not less. And
Amen.
That's my concern on both sides. John?
Much of what Larry said, I think I agree with wholeheartedly. I would simply add, Andrew notched up the capability of what new media was able to do in terms of impacting issues and events in real time, and he inspired so many people. Unlike a lot of people who are forgotten, I think there are going to be people who are going to be watching tapes of Andrew, watching the film Getting Breitbart for years to come and saying, he showed that courage not only can change things, but that courage can be fun.
Yeah.
Getting in the fray and not being intimidated or silenced can actually make the conversation more energetic, richer, and despite all of the heat that we have, we're the better for this debate because so much of it was veiled and muffled and in hushed tones, and the real issues were never really brought out until the new media and Andrew was a big part of it.
James?
Well, I think that the legacy, Andrew, is going to be, flipping the narrative, exposing the facts that were contrary. Someone once said, I don't know who said it, taking a crowbar to the narrative. Actually, I also want to commend Media Matters for coming. It takes a lot of courage, and I appreciate you coming here. It's more than most of my critics and adversaries have done. And I actually have a little treat for you today. I'm going to put in cameras here, so I don't have to take out my own camera. I'll bring the sign up here for you. So I really love what Media Matters is doing in support of the president's policy on guns, particularly the notion that if you take any action that you save the life of one child, you should take that action. So I'm from an organization called Act Against Arms, and if we believe that if even one child's life can be saved, then we need to take action. So we want to keep guns out of our schools, out of our homes, and off of our television sets. And Media Matters has been very supportive of celebrities in this effort. So would you please sign this pledge to remove guns from existing movies? To stop the violence.
Why are you so pro-gun violence?
But I have
Mainly
For the children!
mainly because like Kim Cuccinelli, I don't sign pledges.
But I have evidence that at least a couple kids were killed by a man with a gun who were inspired by the violence they saw in movies. So, I really want to save the life of kids. So all you got to do is sign. It's not much.
Yeah, not having your children. Like Kim Cuccinelli, I don't sign pledges.
For the children!
All right.
In any event,
But you're gonna kill all the
allows
abortions.
to sign and they're pledging to use a gun. So that's one of about 20 videos we'll be releasing soon.
All right. All right, let's go, Dave, your take on the legacy of Andrew Breitbart.
My take on his legacy is entirely selfish. He employs journalists, and I think that too much of the mainstream media spends its time tearing down media entrepreneurs that come from ideological, opinionated places, whether it's Rupert Murdoch or Andrew Breitbart. They do a great service, Ariana Huffington, and I think the world would be a better place if there were more crazy, opinionated, original people who were building things that employ journalists. And I hope that's his legacy. I hope he inspires people to do more.
And finally, Ethan Marcus, you documented his life, and you made the film. What do you think the legacy of Andrew Breitbart would be?
I actually find that to be almost a very complicated question again, because I was very close to him, and so sometimes it's hard for me to deal with. But two things really stand out. I think he was the one of the earliest and most galvanizing forces and voices for the idea that when the mainstream media is not doing its job, we are all now empowered to do their job for them. And as you saw in the scene where he said, hold up your cameras, put your cameras in the air. I think that was critical to his thesis that no longer could they hold the monopoly. And I think he was really the first galvanizing force that broke through and made that not just talk, but made that reality. But I also think, and equally if not more important, I think he taught an entire movement of people to stand up and fight back. When you are called a racist, the answer isn't no, I'm not. It's fuck you more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't walk around with a PG-13 version of myself.
You were quoting.
That's funny.
Are you done?
I am done.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're all done. I want to thank you all very much for coming to the film and to the panel. Thank you all the panelists. Give them a great hand, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you to Citizens United.